if you had to get into a fight with a giant human-sized turkey, the Thanksgiving turkey, or fight Santa Claus, who'd you fight?
I feel like probably Santa Claus, because I feel like I would punch him and he would make it seem like I had more of an impact than I really did.
Because Santa Claus is being nice?
Because he's jolly.
No, Santa Claus is there to beat your ass. Like,
no, the turkey would for sure fuck me up.
The turkey and the Santa Claus are both there to kill you.
Santa Claus
Who do you want to fight?
Santa Claus would be
survival.
like, ooh, 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 ooh.
Yeah, but like,
like
yeah, exactly. Who would you fight?
Turkey would literally rip out my jugular with its teeth without a second thought.
Okay, yeah.
Santa Claus, I feel like, would take some warming up to like make him angry.
Fair enough. So you're fighting Santa.
Santa for sure.
Cool.
Big old bowl of jelly.
Yeah, I think I would have to pick Santa too.
Yeah.
Turkeys are just
I don't like birds.
They're unpredictable. And they're ugly.
Listen, have you seen geese?
I don't look at them. I don't like the cut of their chin.
Don't look them in the eyes.
Oh, I had a friend who looked a goose in the eye once.
Doesn't have eyes anymore. Anyway, oh no.
You just have one of your baby sips like you like to do.
I like to sip.
Called a shot, not a sip.
My God.
Mm.
Listen, I don't let men tell me what to do.
Well, I have no comment on that because I have no say. You are your.
That's right.
Strong and empowered woman, and I'm just over here being a dude who's trying to be a guy. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, I'm minding my own business, and you fucking scale that mountain, girlfriend.
I'm going to, and then I'm going to get halfway up and then leave because I don't want to be there anymore because it's hard.
No one wants to be on the mountain. As much as we all say we do, it's a terrible place to be.
I want to go home.
Because the mountain makes you a terrible person. As soon as you scale it, you lose all of what makes you a human. Just stay down here with us peasants.
Makes you question things about yourself and makes you want to go home and watch Princess Diaries.
I haven't experienced that, but you never know. I saw a picture of Baby Princess Diaries on the internet the other day, and I was like, "Hey,
Baby Princess Diaries, what's that?"
I just Baby Anne Hathaway in Princess Diaries, where she looks like a baby, literally younger than I am now. But I always thought of her as like
Don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, well, younger than you are now too.
She was like 16 when she filmed that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but
look it up right now.
Hey Siri, how old was Anne Hathaway when she filmed The Princess Diaries #1?
Number 1.
18
From Wikipedia, 18 years old at the time, The Princess Diaries was Hathaway's first major film role, for which she auditioned during a 26-hour layover.
I don't know that. She was 18 years old at the time.
Wow. Good golly.
Wow.
You're practically ancient.
I'm so fucking old.
Yeah. I'm over here being father time.
You're over here being like 47 years.
Welcome back to the Jony Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Jony Horror. With me is the scum of the earth, my sister.
I'll drink to that.
I will drink to that as well. Cheers.
Here we go, boys and girls.
In it to win it.
Yeah.
And we are continuing our discussion of the Princess Diaries. Just kidding. You're next. Low key, one of the best Thanksgiving horror films. That is not really a Thanksgiving horror film. But in our last episode, we discussed the film, our likes, our dislikes about it, and some of our random thoughts. If you have not had an opportunity to listen to that episode, I encourage you to go back and do so.
Go listen.
But if you really like Quentin Tarantino movies and you like to do things backwards, then by all means, proceed. Because we are going to be talking about the behind the scenes, the making of, all the fun little trivia about this film that we can find on the internet at
11:30?
11:24
Close enough.
p.m. without doing too much digging because, we don't get paid for this. So we're not going to put too much effort. We're just a couple of yahoos over here having a discussion. You know what I'm saying?
You're not paying me for this?
A couple of jibs being jabbed. You're drinking food and eating beer. You know what that means. You got some Panda Express tonight. It was fucking delicious. That'll be enough out of you.
Anyway.
What was I saying about just being a guy being a dude? Yeah, fuck that. I'm a dude being a guy. But yeah, so we're gonna just jump on into this. I can stop harassing my younger sister for a moment.
Hello.
Most of the stuff we're gonna pull is from the very, very reliable sources of Wikipedia and IMDb. All certified 100% factual across the board. No questions asked.
Folklore.
The stuff of legend, as it were.
Lore.
Stop saying lore. It's freaking me out.
Sorry.
So right out the gate, we got to give a big round of applause to anyone who has contributed to the Your Next Wikipedia page and the IMDb trivia. Thank you for your service. So, right at the top here, Your Next is a 2011.
I thought we said it was 13.
I thought it was 13. Okay, yes. So, it
farther.
was theatrically released in 2013.
Well,
so, Your Next is a 2011 American slasher film directed and edited by Adam Wingard and written by Simon Barrett and starring Sharni Vinson, there we go, Nicholas Tucci, Wendy Glenn, AJ Bowen, Joe Swanberg, Barbara Crampton, and Rob Moran. Please be quiet while I'm reading, thank you. The plot concerns an estranged family under attack by a group of masked assailants during a family reunion. The film had its world premiere at the 2011 Toronto International Film Festival. Shut the fuck up, computer, I'm reading. Why does everyone keep interrupting me? It's very rude. And was theatrically released on August 23rd, 2013, which is when I saw it. Thank you very much. That was damn near 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Almost.
Jeez.
About 10 months shy. The film grossed $26 million on a $1 million production budget and has since gained a cult following.
Impressive.
It is impressive. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the cast. We discussed some of the characters already in our last episode. Excuse me. But let's just kind of, they have a full cast list here, but I think we're just gonna hit the heavy players. We can kind of start at the back end and work our way up. So we have all the killers. I don't think there's too much to say because most of them are masked the entire time. Was there a particular mask that you favored
I
and he's-
like the lamb mask. I don't know who that was as far as like the actor goes, but I like the lamb mask.
Lamb Mask was played by the actor L.C. Holt. And he even has a mask underneath that mask that kind of covers up most of his
he
face
does.
too. So, I would have to say that my favorite mask is probably the tiger mask,
Yeah.
and that is actually played by the writer Simon Barrett. So there you go. Next we have Rob Moran, as we're gonna go with Moran as Paul, the dad. He's likable. Has a nice face. He looks like, I'm just gonna click here. I'm gonna put money that this guy's been in some soap operas. You're not doing the thing I want you to do. There's dramatic effect happening there, and then you ruined it.
He's been in an Eddie Murphy movie. He's been in an Adam Sandler movie.
And Adam
Something
Sandler
about
Murphy.
Mary.
Oh my god. Okay. Let's see here. We're gonna go down to like, I don't know. Let's see.
You're just trying to find what you think he's been in.
Yeah, that's what we're doing here.
The West Wing.
Days of Our Lives. Thank you very
Alright.
much. Goddamn right. 43 episodes. Thank you very much. He's also in a television series called Three Way. That sounds exciting. But yeah,
It's questionable.
guy's got a fucking face made for daytime soaps. But likable when he gets killed by his son, or gets killed in front of his son, and he like goes to reach out for Felix, and Felix like pushes away his hand. That part has always kind of got to me. Think it would take a very, very cold-hearted, hateful person to I would say this about both parents. Neither one of them, like, obviously they raised some shitty fucking kids, so clearly they did something wrong. Maybe it was that they had money, but they both seem like loving and caring parents, you know? So it just kind of beg the question, what the fuck went wrong with your children?
Listen, sometimes the best thing to do is to not...
Love your kids.
Oh! Yes.
That builds character.
Builds character. Digging holes builds character.
Digging up holes, digging.
Mare sounds like a woman's name. It is.
Raise your hand if you thought we'd be talking about Disney's holes on this episode.
I didn't.
Me neither. Someone out there did. God bless you. We'll jump over to the lovely Barbara Crampton, who plays Aubrey, the mom. So you don't know anything because you're dumb and you don't watch enough horror movies. But
Okay.
Barbara Crampton, actually, you would know her from. She's from Reanimator. You like Reanimator. We've watched it a couple of times.
Shut the fuck up!
Yeah.
No way! Wait, I kind of
Yeah.
want to see her. I
Yeah.
wanna know, 'cause
It's
she didn't look familiar to me when I watched it. 1958.
see.
Wow! Look at that.
Megan
Check
Halsey.
that out.
She's
Wow,
great.
Wow.
Love Barbara Crampton. She is obviously from Reanimator, she's from the film From Beyond, which I need to show you that one because it's by the same people who did Reanimator, and it's pretty fucking great. It's gross. And her career kind of died out a little bit. Very, very prevalent in the 80s and a ton of 80s movies. Chopping Mall, fucking love Chopping Mall. And then I think about around the 90s, her career kind of fizzled out a little bit, and I believe she either went back to school or did the stay-at-home mom thing, one of the two, maybe both. But Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett, I believe, had her specifically in mind for this role and asked her to come and do it, which obviously she did, and she's been back working in film ever since. So she has there's like a glossy eyed like whole vibe about her. You know, she doesn't ever seem like she's quite there, which I think is very, very cool. Like it lends itself, I mean, just performance wise it is, you know. That attention to detail, like this woman is clearly on medication, it's stated in that, and she seems like she's on medication. She never really seems to fully connect with anyone, you know. Anyways, I just think it's a great little performance that she has there. Ty West as Tariq. Very little bit performance, which Ty West is also a fantastic, amazing director. Did X, did Pearl, did House of the Devil, did The Sacrament. One of his that I haven't seen is The Innkeepers, but I think that one's supposed to be pretty good. But X is incredible. Pearl was great. Love House of the Devil. The Sacrament was solid too. And he is friends with the director and the writer, so that's how he ended up with a cameo in this film. Amy, do you want to take a stab at this? Semites?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
She's actually been in quite a few things now. I believe she's in one of the recent Alien movies. She's in Pet Sematary. She's really good at that, actually. I wasn't a particularly big fan of that reimagining of Pet Sematary, but I think she did a really good job in it.
Wait, what? The Girlfriend Experience? That's like a semi-known show.
Yeah. So I mean, she's actually been in a lot. We can actually kind of take a look. She always, I would say, she is a character actress. She is usually in good stuff, doing good performances, but she's usually a side character, typically. I would say.
Yeah.
Probably one of her bigger roles as far as like big budget, well-known films is probably Pet Sematary. She's great in this. She's super sweet. She definitely just seems like the baby daughter again. Like stands out to me. Like
is she the track? Oh, not the track one, but like the runner one.
She's the one that runs into the
barbed wire.
Piano wire. Yeah, again, does kind of, maybe because it's the whole dynamic with the brothers and everything. Celeste has 4 brothers. I think there's only 3 brothers in this, but there is that sort of the only girl in the mix. And she's super sweet, and maybe some of that is a facade, but we don't really get to dive too deep into that character, but she does, go out trying to handle business. You got to give that to her, even if it is ill-advised, to say the least.
Yeah.
We have Margaret Laney as Kelly. Apparently she was in the credits as Sarah Myers, so it must have been a pseudonym. She's as far as the performance is concerned, I think she's good. She's not a particularly likable character, but I think that's the point. So
yeah, I agree.
But meets her death, getting punched through a window and then getting an axe to the forehead. Like the guy, I think it's is it Tiger Face or is it Land Face that like?
No,
I think it's. I feel like it was Land Face because that's what she sees in the reflection. Swings an axe into her head like it's a fucking golf club.
Yeah. She's the one who like gets punched so hard that it breaks the window
Yeah.
that she's sitting in
Yeah.
front of.
And she's kind of, her discussion with, her little bit scene with Drake in the bathroom where he's trying to, get
Get
frisky
some.
with her, and she turns him down and says that Aaron is annoying. She just doesn't like her accent. You just get these little character details of what these people are. And again, that is just a very interesting written, like, dynamic character, because I just feel like it's a very real sort of, like, person who has money sort of way to be,
Yeah, 100%.
Wendy Glenn as Z. Definitely has that typical cool girl vibe. Like when she's introduced to the mother for the first time, she just kind of like, smoking a cigarette, doesn't even say hi, just kind of
cool.
nods. You're like, oh, maybe a little too cool for your own good, because now you just come across as a twat.
She very much looks like Olivia Wilde in Tron.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Except Olivia Wilde is like perfection.
Yeah.
Not that this woman isn't beautiful, but
She's great.
it's just
She's great.
Olivia Wilde is
Olivia Wilde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless.
Felix?
She definitely just is like has that almost like
Je ne sais quoi.
femme fatale sort of thing going on with her. She reminds me a little bit of what's the character in I think it's the Baroness in G.I. Joe. She's just a bad lady who's bad and is sexy and is bad because she's bad and
she's got bangs and short hair.
Yeah, and she wants to fuck her boyfriend next to his
mom's corpse.
So I think, she's and she doesn't smack Aaron over the head with the nail board when she has the chance. Like she could have done it. There was nothing stopping her. So, you get what's coming to you, bitch.
Is he related to Stanley Tucci?
We're gonna find that out right now. Nicholas Tucci. Just based on this picture that they have featured alone, looks like he probably is. I could
believe it.
I could easily believe it. Hold on, let's just see.
Are you a Nepo baby?
No relation to Stanley Tucci. What the shit? God, if you guys could see this fucking profile picture that we're like looking at right now too. He's bald and has glasses. It's like he's trying to be a Tucci. That's what it is. His real name is like
question. He hates
his real name is like Nicholas Jones, and he's just like, no, I really love Stanley Tucci.
And I hate the Jonas Brothers.
But I haven't. He's got actually quite the resume that we just kind of scrolled past here. He's been in some stuff here. Looks like it's a lot of TV, but nothing right out the gate that I'm familiar with.
Rami is a big show. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's not my fault.
Okay.
Looks like he was in Channel Zero. Looks like he was in Daredevil at some point. Blacklist. So yeah, he's done a lot of TV. But I digress. He's great in this.
Yeah, he is.
I think we both agree that like he looks like he's guilty from the start.
Immediately.
He just looks like he's not one to be trusted. Definitely a mouth breather.
For sure.
To say the least.
Yeah.
But he has great dialogue, which is not something on his part, but the way he delivers his dialogue, like the way he delivers, I don't think that's a fair criticism, is perfect.
So funny.
Yeah.
Like in not a funny moment, because like when I watch that scene, I'm like, oh my god, like I don't want to watch this. And he delivered that line, and I was like, oh, that's really funny.
It's great because it's it's funny, but he's not trying to be funny in the scene.
He's just
it's
being
just
authentic.
it's
Yeah.
very much a very genuine reaction.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. I like his performance. I think he is at his best when he's this guy who's just so far out of his element.
In over his head, for sure.
Absolutely. When he gets toward the end and he's trying to be menacing with Aaron, like when he says it's not even like hot bitch, I think he doesn't and again this is not necessarily performance wise, because it just is the guy trying to be tough, and he's just not.
Oh, really? Because I thought it was like totally like, I feel like that line could have been delivered in a way where it wasn't funny or authentic at all.
No, I think it's funny, but it doesn't feel like him being scary, like him being a villain, I think plays best when he's someone who's just kind of on the outskirts watching his family kind of die and everything. There is something very...
Being like a rich boy who's paying to have people killed.
Yeah, and is not quite comfortable with it, but is still oddly comfortable with the whole thing.
Like
it's
detached.
Really... Yes, it's really unnerving and hard to wrap my head around. So, like, as far as the performance is concerned, that whole bit is good. When he is, like, trying to, with the crossbow and shit like that, again, it does... It's part of the character. It is. It's the way it's supposed to be, but he just doesn't... he's not imposing at all. So, and I'm sure that, again, that's all part of it. So it's not so much a criticism of the performance or the writing, so much as just the person that is Felix. AJ Bowen as Crispin. I really like this performance. AJ Bowen has been in a couple things. He was in House of the Devil. He has a small role in that. If anything, I feel like he is underused in House of the Devil, and I wouldn't feel that way had I not seen this movie first. Because I think House of the Devil came out before this, but he's so he just feels very believable.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Where I feel like in this movie, I forgot that he left at some point in the movie.
Yes.
Like, you totally forget that at some point he decides to leave.
And I've
seen this movie twice.
Yeah, I think that is... It not only says a lot about the way the film is written and directed...
And how believable it was played.
You have to devote a certain amount of energy to what's happening on screen with Aaron, so you don't find yourself thinking, what happened to Crispin?
Yeah.
Where's Crispin?
Because he leaves. Like, there's a whole point in the movie where you're like, oh, he's leaving. And you forget about it.
Again, part of that is directing, keeping the energy going, keeping things boom, 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 so you don't have time to think about it, but is also a big part of the performance, because he has to be so fucking unmemorable that you do not even think about it. And think, as an actor, the bullet you have to bite, the throw your ego out the window to just be like, I'm going to play this very mundane guy.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
To perfection. Yeah. So at the end of the movie,
you're like, oh, fuck, I forgot.
You realize that he is the one behind everything. Yeah. And he doesn't play it with menace. He doesn't, he doesn't come back with the old Snidely Whiplash, twirl of the mustache. It's very like, he even says on the phone, he's like, I'm sorry I had to leave. I'm a pacifist. I don't like all this violence and everything. I love that. And then his whole bit of dialogue with Aaron at the end is just a man who realizes he's been caught. And we talked a little bit about that before, and him trying to almost, tell her to come along quietly, asking her to come along quietly, because speaking as someone who has done stupid stuff and has been caught, and has seen people who will remain nameless who have been caught in bullshit, and seeing just how it's a hell of a thing, we guys do,
how quickly your tail goes between your legs. How quickly you try and save face.
And it is that whole scene, it just makes you uncomfortable because we're so stupid.
And the beautiful thing, my favorite thing about this movie is the very end when he's trying to talk her into it, and just the very quick change of pace, because you kind of expect the scene to play out and for them to have this big argument and have this big altercation, and they don't. He tries to talk her into it. You see her this whole time, you see her blank face expression, and then at the very end she fucking stabs him or shanks him or something. And then immediately after is when the policeman shoots her in the shoulder or whatever. And you're like, oh man, how fucking long we had to listen to this guy play out his scenario and try and talk himself out of it. And how quickly the woman had to be like, nope, not into it. And then immediately get the backlash for it.
Yeah.
Where you're like...
And that I, am sorry to say is at least up until that point when this film is released, that was very much the way of things.
And it was beautiful. You watched it and you're like, oh, that was great. That was satisfying to watch.
Yeah.
Because
but thankfully we now live in a time where
a little bit more gratification.
Yeah. Women are at least in a position where it's a little bit better now. It's a little bit better now. We're making steps.
Yeah, but I think it was a beautiful.
Yeah, I mean that whole scene is obviously a metaphor for something greater.
Yeah.
But it is a very well handled, well performed scene, and again, a lot of that goes back to directing and writing, but the performances are solid. And I think I do think A.J. Bowen does an amazing job with the subtlety of the character and being aware of the overall goal of the picture, and not letting ego get in the way. But speaking of ego, we have Joe Swanberg as Drake, who is just the
secondary,
the white horse of the flick, man.
Love him.
Starts out as just we already talked about him. We talked about him a lot in the first segment, but starts out as just the most unlikable douchey character, and still maintains that douchery through.
Well, you kind of are rooting for him
by
the end.
Slowly, you realize that everyone else's bullshit is a facade.
Yeah.
And he is the most real person in that family.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that is most admirable about him, is that, he thinks he's hot shit, and, obviously he has his own issues. I mean, he fucking kicks down a door with a fucking arrow shot in his back. And just talking trash the entire time. I'm surprised he didn't talk trash when he did that. He was downstairs saying, I'm the fastest, but I got this fucking arrow in my shoulder. His smart ass remarks and all that, that's what I would hope I would be like in that scenario, to still be witty and still try to be a player, even though a player in the scene, handling things rather. He does pass out from just shock and pain.
You fucking blacked out.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I know.
But just a great performance by Joe Swanberg. He's been in a few things. I think he was in that other Ty West one, The Sacrament. I think he's a writer for sure. I can't remember if he's done any. Oh, he wrote The Rental. I really liked The Rental. And yeah, he's been in a few things. Everything I've seen him in, I've enjoyed as far as him as a performer. But let's see, what does he have here? Actor, 54 credits. VHS, yeah. So yeah, he's an enjoyable performer to watch.
Yeah, he really is.
And again, just like surprised after this movie, he didn't blow up more because it's just a great performance. Very, very, again, manages to be charming and charismatic.
And just likable.
Yeah.
All at once.
Without whilst being a complete douche canoe.
Yeah.
And then without any further ado, we gotta talk about our homegirl Sharni Vinson. I saw her at Monster Palooza this year. I just saw her. I didn't talk to her or anything like that. She was at a booth. We just walked by. But
I saw her.
I seen her. She looked just like she did in the movie. There you go. Hey. But damn, what a solid performance.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on with this character, stuff we don't ever even necessarily hear, but it's just kind of all on subtext, based on kind of what we know and see, and you get a little bit of details about what her childhood is like. Let's see. Yeah, I knew she was in a Step Up movie.
I don't know what Home and Away and Patrick are.
I watched Patrick at one point. It's a remake of a 1980s movie. I haven't seen the original, but this is definitely looks like this is like her biggest thing. It honestly doesn't look like she's been in a ton of other stuff. Looks like she's in a TV series right now. Has done 7 episodes, and
look at it. Like I don't know
any
of these.
Yeah.
You're next. Blue Crush 2, Step Up 3D.
Surprising because again, she's really great in this.
Yeah, she is.
In this movie, and yeah, I mean, fun, great. Like as far as Final Girls go, she has to be like. I would say she has to be in like in the top 10 at the very least, if not the top 5, because she is the one. Not only does she take charge of the situation, she is a major player in how scenes play out and everything, because she is commanding how things happen, which usually for Final Girls, they are responding to things happen to them.
Yeah.
Whereas she is the one who is making things happen.
It's usually always secondary to like their male love interest. Where in this case, like the male love interest is not there.
Well, I would argue that with horror films specifically, like
yeah, no, you're right.
Usually, Final Girls don't have a love interest, or they get killed off early on because the idea with a lot of these old, slasher 1980s movies is that the final girl is typically a virgin.
Yeah.
Which I am not a fan of that trope. I think it's
old.
It's old hat. It's sexist. It's a slut shaming thing, and I'm not a fan of that. But that is usually the way things play out. Usually there's no guy at all, and it just so happens that this guy, betrays her, and you can see it in her. The way she is with him, she genuinely cares about him. Like when he comes downstairs in the morning, she says, "Come here, like come sit with me," sort of a deal. Like she's happy to see him. When he goes to leave the second time, and he promises that he's gonna come back, like she genuinely doesn't want him to leave. It's one of the only times in the second half of that movie where she shows vulnerability. She's afraid. She's not afraid for her, at least to the degree that we see it, because obviously she's afraid throughout this thing, but she's handling business. She's focused on doing stuff. She's afraid for him. She's afraid to lose him. She doesn't want him to go because she cares about him. So that all these little details of performance and writing, but particularly with performance, the things that she shows on her face, the nuance there, all comes together for that fucking betrayal at the end, where she is just, she's been put through the ringer, and she finds out that the person who put her through the ringer is the person that she like cares most about. At least we're led to believe it's the person that she cares most about from everything that we know. So at the end, when he says why, and she says, "Why the fuck not?" Because it's such a great response, because he destroyed everything that she had at that point. There's nothing left for her. And then it's just compacted by that ending. And we'll dive more into that in a minute, but I think she delivers a fantastic performance. It's tough, it's hard, but it's not it's not like, you know, as much as I love like Kate Beckinsale, she is pretty badass in those underworld movies, but it never seems forced. It never seems like, you know, Kate Beckinsale's a vampire, so, you know, her being strong, you're like, all right, well, she's got superpowers. It's none of these portrayals of women like taking out guys that are like 200 pounds or more. Like in an unbelievable scenario. The way everything plays out, she uses her wits and then uses her strength to bounce off of what she knows and uses it all for skill. And I like that all of that is in the performance. It's in the writing and all that to create a very well-rounded, believable character.
Totally.
All right. So why don't you read this little bit about the development of the film? There's not a ton here, but why don't you read the development and the filming and all this fucking nonsense here? We'll talk about it.
All right. So Barrett wrote the film after Wingard told him that he wanted to do a home invasion movie. Nothing that they were the only films that still truly frightened them. What? Shut up. Noting that they were the only films that still truly frightened them. From there, Barrett wrote a script inspired by Agatha Christie mysteries, as well as a combination of screwball comedies and chamber mysteries. Barrett would later note that Bay of Blood was, I'm sorry, my eyes are really dry, was probably in the back of his mind when writing the film, although he only realized this after the fact. Wingard credited the film's humor to Barrett's sense of humor and cynicism. Some of the dinner conversations were improvised and based on real-life experiences that the filmmakers had with family members. Makes sense. Filming. The filming was shot in 2011 at a mansion in Columbia, Missouri. Filming took place over 4 weeks, and shooting consisted mostly of night shoots filmed from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Hot damn.
Hot damn, Alakazam. Release. Your Next premiered on September 17th, 2011 at the 2011 Toronto International Film Festival and opened at other film festivals later.
Wow.
Shut up. after its premiere, Lionsgate acquired American, British, and Canadian distribution rights to the film for just $2 million. The film was part of the competition during the 20th edition of the International Festival of Fantastic Movies at the Gerardmer. Shut up. In February 2013, and it won the sci-fi prize of the event. Cool. You want to do box office?
You do box office, I'll take critical response.
Alright, that sounds great. Yeah. Anyway, so the film opened in the United States on August 9th, 2013 and earned about $7 million in its opening weekend. The film closed on October 17th, having grossed about $18 million in domestic box office and $8 million overseas for a worldwide total of $26 million, approximately.
Well, hot dog. Critical response. Rotten Tomatoes reports an approval rating of 79% based on 159 reviews with an average of 6.6 out of 10. The site's critical consensus states, "Your next energetic and effective mix of brutal gore and pitch-black humor will please horror buffs and beyond." Metacritic gives the film a score of 66 out of 100 based on 32 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. Audiences polled CinemaScore gave an average grade of B- on an A+ to F scale. Vanity Fair's Jordan Huffman called Your Next one of the most entertaining horror pictures in the last 10 years. Chris Nashawati. Oh, Nashawati. Doesn't it sound like it should be like fucking...
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Let's say like a
Nope.
town in Mississippi or something like that.
That's fine.
Nashawati.
That's fine.
Where did you think I was going?
I don't know.
Terrible.
I don't know.
Chris Nashawati of Entertainment Weekly gave the film a B+, praising Wingard's canny knack for leavening?
Where?
Leavening?
I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know.
For leavening his character's gory demise with sick laughs and clever Rube Goldberg twists. Razor sharp piano wire hasn't been used this well since 1999's Audition. You're not wrong. I don't think it'll ever be used better than that movie. It's like Ordinary People meet Scream. And describing the final shot as deliciously twisted. R. Kurt Ozenlund of Slant Magazine gave the film 4 stars, stating the film brazenly merges the home invasion thriller with dysfunctional family dramedy. Joshua Rothkopf. Guys, get some normal names, please. For my sake, if nobody else's. Time Out of New York called the film solidly satisfying and a minor triumph. That doesn't make any sense. A triumph is like never mind. Although he commented that the film was in general unoriginal. Sure.
Hey.
Matt Glasby of film called the film funny, intense, rather than hilarious and terrifying, and complimented the film for being a good horror comedy. Barbara Van Den this is fucking
Suck it.
humorous at this point. Arizona Republic gave the film 3 out of 5 stars, stating the film was not very scary and that its budget for red food coloring was no doubt higher than the one for script doctoring. Although she complimented the film's score and gruesome conclusion. Mark Jenkins, God bless you, because he's got a normal name that I can pronounce, of the Washington Post, said that the movie is at times bloodily entertaining, and if the central plot twist isn't clever at all, at least the movie offers some motivation for its mayhem. While Jane Horowitz wrote the same for the same newspaper, the slasher horror fans 17 and older, for slasher horror fans of 17 and older, You're Next may provide sufficient homicidal entertainment. Liam Lacey of the Globe and Mail gave the film 2.5 out of 4, describing it as well executed but rudimentary. A review from St. Louis Post-Dispatch called the film unoriginal. Renee Rodriguez of the Miami Herald panned the film, calling it practically insulting, and dubbed the premise idiotic. John DeFore of the Hollywood Reporter wrote that the film's characters were mostly unsympathetic, and more humor would have improved the film. Stephen Whitty of Newark Star Ledger, in a review for the Portland Oregonian, it's obviously Oregon, but is it
Oregonian?
Oregonian. I like Orgian better.
Okay.
Gave the film a C+ rating, agreeing that it was unoriginal and uninventive, comparing it to The Purge and Last House on the Left. Scott Bowles of USA Today gave You're Next a negative review, describing it as repetitive and stating that it did not have a purpose. And Total Film placed Aaron at number 1 on their list of 50 most badass female horror leads.
Wow, that's nice.
I feel like I would agree with that.
Yeah.
She is up there. As far as badassery is concerned, as far as iconic, obviously no one's ever going to beat Laurie Strode, but as far as just pure badass female horror leads,
Yeah, I agree.
it's hard to, because first Terminator, I would argue, is a horror movie, sci-fi horror movie, but Sarah Connor is not the Sarah Connor that we know in T2, which is an action movie. Ripley, pretty damn close. She's really good in Alien. Like, she's damn near about as badass, but I feel like the Aaron in this beats the Ripley in Alien.
The fact that, like, immediately from the get-go, when people are getting shot at from the windows and she's like, hey, pick up the chairs, that's pretty badass.
So, before we jump into our final rankings of the film, quick question.
Yeah.
Does Aaron go to prison after this movie?
Oh, fuck. Wait, what happens? Okay, she gets shot. What happens to the police officer? Oh, he dies.
The axe comes down.
Maybe not. I feel like maybe she gets away.
I think if they do a full, I think obviously she gets arrested and she's detained. But if they do a full investigation, they check text messages and they kind of do their research and everything. She might get a manslaughter charge thrown at her.
No, I feel like that's defense, because I feel like the people who...
No, for the cop.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I agree.
Because it was not intentional, it was not set up for him, but obviously that man is dead because of her, so I feel like manslaughter. She might get murdered for Crispin, but no, the cop that was witness to that is the cop that's dead now. So, I think she'd probably just get manslaughter, probably do some time, but I think eventually she would be cleared.
Just a little bit.
So, final thoughts, comments, concerns on this movie before you give your final ranking, and when you're done talking, give your final ranking.
I like it. I think it's a good, cozy movie. I think it's a good, watch for when you just want to watch something, but you don't, want to have an emotional investment into things.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. That's good. I had a good time.
What would you give it out of 10?
I think a B-.
Out of 10?
Yep.
So you got a B- out of 10. Yeah, for me it is we loved this movie the first time we saw it. We were so. I think we kind of knew that it was a girl that is more resourceful than what meets the eye. Takes on home intruders, but we really didn't know much beyond that, so we were just so pleasantly surprised when we saw this movie.
Yeah.
And it's just been one that I go back to, and again, like I said, for me, this is just like a Thanksgiving horror movie. I love the family dynamic in it. They have such a dysfunctional family that it makes any other family bullshit that I have in my life feel pale by comparison.
Yeah.
I love all the relationships in this. Again, I even talked about like these parents seem genuinely loving, so I'm mind boggled by how all these kids turn out just so fucking terrible. But fun performances, great dialogue, great writing, great direction, a fun play on what is obviously a very standard idea of home invasion, but to invade a home of someone who can very well kick your ass and kill you is just a fun, like I said before, flip of the coin. Thoroughly enjoy that, and it is just a Thanksgiving mainstay for me at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and give this bad boy 8 out of 10. So with your batshit ranking of B-, which I would say is probably in the ballpark
About
of
the same.
a 7.5 to 8.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're there. I think we can probably officially give this a Jony horror ranking of
stamp of approval.
8 out of 10.
All right.
Yeah. So that is going to be a wrap on our discussion of Your Next. Thank y'all for tuning in and listening. We enjoyed you enjoying us because, I mean, come on.
What's not to like?
But yeah, I think this is probably going to pop up after Thanksgiving. Maybe the day after if we can manage it. But hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. Happy holidays. And I've been your host, Jony Horror. With me is...
Kid sister Katie. Obviously.
There it is. And look forward to having you back, pal. This is always fun. It's always great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
As far as family is concerned, I'm just pretty happy that you're part of mine. So.
Oh my god, give me a little handshake. Come on. Ah! Look at us go.
Thanks for tuning in, gang. We will see you motherfuckers on the flip side. Adios, muchachos.
Goodbye. Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas.
And happy Hanukkah.
And to all, a good night.